On to our other big story tonight. A fresh scandal has come to surface which seems to indict the Israel Defense Forces. The former top lawyer in the Israeli military has been arrested amid a political showdown over the leaking of a video that allegedly shows severe abuse of a Palestinian detainee by Israeli soldiers. Major General Yifat Tomer-Yerushalmi resigned as the Military Advocate General of the Israel Defense Forces, or IDF, last week, saying she took full responsibility for the leak of the video. On Sunday, the story took a darker turn when she was reported missing, with the police mounting an extensive search for her on a beach north of Tel Aviv. She was subsequently found alive, and the police say she was taken into custody. However, the fallout from the leaked video is intensifying. Broadcast in August 2024 on an Israeli news channel, the footage shows reserve soldiers at the Sde Teiman military base in southern Israel taking aside a detainee, then surrounding him with riot shields to block visibility while he was allegedly beaten and stabbed in the rectum with a sharp object. The detainee was treated for severe injuries. 5 reservists were charged with aggravated abuse and causing serious bodily harm to the detainee. This Sunday, 4 of the reservists wore black balaclavas to hide their faces as they appeared at a news conference outside the Supreme Court in Jerusalem along with their lawyers, who demanded dismissal of the trial. A lawyer from a right-wing legal aid organization claimed his clients were subject to a faulty, biased and completely cooked-up legal process. On Monday, it emerged that the Palestinian detainee at the center of this case was released to Gaza last month as part of an exchange with Hamas of convicted prisoners and detainees held without charge by Israel for hostages held by Hamas. Last week, a criminal investigation was launched into the leaking of the video. Major General Yifat Tomer-Yerushalmi was sent on leave. On Friday, Defense Minister Israel Katz said the lawyer would not be allowed to return to her post. Shortly after, she resigned. In her resignation letter, she wrote, "I approved the release of the material to the media in an attempt to counter false propaganda against the army's law enforcement authorities." That is a reference to efforts by some right-wing political figures in Israel to claim that the allegations of severe abuse of the Palestinian detainee had been fabricated. Tomer-Yerushalmi said, "It's our duty to investigate whenever there is reasonable suspicion of acts of violence against a detainee." After her resignation, the defense minister issued a fierce condemnation of her conduct, saying, "Anyone who spreads blood libels against IDF troops is unfit to wear the army's uniform." Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu echoed his defense minister's words, saying the incident was perhaps the most severe public relations attack that the state of Israel has experienced since its establishment.
האירוע בשדה תימן גרם לנזק תדמיתי עצום למדינת ישראל ולצבא ההגנה לישראל ולחיילים שלנו. זה אולי הפיגוע ההסברתי הקשה ביותר שמדינת ישראל חוותה מאז הקמתה. אני לא זוכר דבר ממוקד בעוצמה כזאת. זה מחייב בדיקה עצמאית ובלתי תלויה, אני מצפה שגם כזאת תתבצע.
Hours later, the first reports began appearing in the Israeli media that Tomer-Yerushalmi was missing, sparking fears that a political scandal had taken a turn towards tragedy. A massive search effort was launched. Several hours later, she was found. The police then announced that 2 people had been arrested on suspicion of leaking and other serious criminal offenses as part of an investigation. The Israeli media reported that the pair were Major General Tomer-Yerushalmi and the former Chief Military Prosecutor, Colonel Metin Solomosh. This incident has been a lightning rod for the division between the left and the right in Israel. On the right, the leaking of the video is denounced as a defamation of the Israeli military, all but amounting to an act of treason. After the Israeli military police went to the military base in question to interrogate 11 reservists over the incident. In July 2024, Far-right protesters, including at least 3 lawmakers from Netanyahu's governing coalition, broke into the facility to show their support. On the left, Tomer-Yerushalmi's decision to enable the footage to be released is seen as the one time she lived up to the responsibilities of her post. The video is regarded by the left as concrete evidence backing up multiple reports of abuse of Palestinian detainees since the Hamas-led 7th October 2023 attacks on Israel. And this isn't the first time Israeli soldiers have been accused of abusing Palestinian prisoners. In October last year, a report by a UN Commission of Inquiry alleged that thousands of child and adult detainees from Gaza had been subjected to widespread and systematic abuse, physical and psychological violence, and sexual and gender-based violence, amounting to the war crimes and crimes against humanity of torture and rape and other forms of sexual violence.
أعداء الثاني من الأسرى كانوا يعانون من آلام شديدة في الصدر وانتفاخات في القدمين، حتى تم حضورهم إلى الطوارئ لأخذ المزيد من الفحوصات والأشعة والصور اللازمة. واحد بين المرضى الذين حضروا تبين عند مريض يعاني من كسور في القفص الصدري، والمريض الآخر يعاني من هبوط في الدم، وحاليا يتلقون العلاج في المجمع في قسم الطوارئ.
The Israeli government even then had rejected the accusations of widespread ill treatment and torture of detainees and insisted that it was fully committed to international legal standards. Israel's leading human rights organization too says conditions inside Israeli prisons holding Palestinian detainees amount to torture. Betzelem's report, entitled "Welcome to Hell," contains testimony from dozens of Palestinian detainees who've since been released, whose graphic testimony points to a dramatic worsening of conditions inside prisons since the beginning of the Gaza war.